Well, thanks everyone for being here. This is probably our biggest pipeline council of all time. So we're glad to have you all here. The topic is very topical, how to crush outbound on LinkedIn. We've got a great speaker for you, so thanks for being here. I will very briefly go over a couple of housekeeping items for folks that have not yet been introduced to who we are at the Scale Go-to-Market Advisory. We are tasked with helping our portfolio, aka all of you, build hyper-growth go-to-market machines. We do this in three ways. We have a group of amazing executives and residents who provide really bespoke tactical advisory. We also have a really rich content library full of tools and templates you can use to self-serve. And then we also have events like these. And we're really excited again that you're all here for this one. One event on the horizon that I'll plug really briefly is coming up next week, a week from today. And it's going to be all about building your partner strategy and specifically your ideal partner profile. So this is perfect for the company that's just getting started thinking about channel alliances, partnerships. We've got a great presenter, Eleanor Thompson, who is sort of the guru at helping early stage companies build out really effective partnership strategies. So if that sounds interesting to you, I will put the registration link in the chat in a moment here, and we hope to see you there. Okay, cool. Without further ado, we're going to get into the session. Those of you who have attended Scale sessions before know that we like to make them interactive. This one will be especially interactive. So we're really hoping to frame this mostly around an interactive discussion led by Sam McKenna, who will introduce herself shortly. But what this means is we need questions from you all. She will ply you for questions, but I'm going to get the gears started right now. We want to take this in the direction that you guys want to go and make sure that you get your most pressing questions answered. Without further ado, I will actually one more slide and then I'll pass the mic over to Sam. A couple of guidelines for discussion. Please, please, please don't raise your Zoom hands. Just come off mute. We just want to hear the question. And when you do so, share your name, company, and title so we know where you're coming from. All right, now without further ado, Sam, please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, you guys. Great to meet you. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sam McKenna. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about myself. I asked Mark if he wanted to read my long, boring bio, and he said, "Dear God, no, please spare me." And I was like, "All right, fine, I'll introduce myself." But one thing I was going to know is I think that the turnout for this session is just tooting my own horn here, is triple the normal for scale. And so what that means is I think this is a really hot topic. We really want to dive into it. I have a ton of questions. I do my own stunts. Thank you, Anton. I think there's so much that we can talk about. We've got four topics pulled out that if you just want to hear me talk for 60 minutes, I can definitely do that. Please don't make me do that. I would love to hear your questions, what's top of mind, what you guys are trying to figure out with LinkedIn. So I'll let you guys think about that for a little. Worst case, we're going to pull on Brandon Rundlinger and Ralph Barcy to ask questions, and don't torture them either. Would love to hear from you guys as well. A little bit of my background for those of you who don't know me. I've been in enterprise sales my entire career. Was an IC for about 7 years, leader and then executive leader at a company called On24 out in the Bay Area, and then left for where else? LinkedIn, which was kind of the holy grail for me to get to work and leading LinkedIn Sales Navigator's enterprise business there. And then wrapped up breaking a ton of records in corporate and thought, I wonder what I can do on my own. So started Sam Sales nearly 6 years ago, coming up our anniversary soon. All women team, whoop, whoop, nearly 20, joined by Sarah on our team as well, who's hanging out and waving at you guys today. But we really focus on a ton of things, top of the funnel sales trainings, et cetera, and then a ton on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's been a client for 5, 6 years. I've been posting on the platform since 2011. I hate this word, but influencer on the platform since about 2016. One of 20 brand ambassadors for them. We do a ton of their marketing campaigns for LinkedIn and LSS, LinkedIn Sales Navigator alike. Safe to say there's a lot of nerdery on LinkedIn over here. And then maybe just two things to expand on what we also do a ton on social selling training. So everything from profile to how to show up on LinkedIn to content engaging with their clients, prospecting outbound. And then we also help executives build their brands and their voices on LinkedIn. So we write their content when we run their entire backend strategy. So whatever you guys are facing right now, whether it's simply the sales teams, like how do we get our BDRs to show up? What does good look like there? To should our CEOs be there? Do company pages matter? What the hell is happening with the algorithm? We can definitely talk about that one. We should probably have a martini while we do it because my God, it's a hot mess at the moment. But no shortage of topics that we can cover. And man, if you guys can stump me with something, that would be great. But hopefully, I'll be able to answer all of your questions inside and out. With that, let me pause for just a second. These are the four things that we were going to cover today, but maybe I could turn it over to you guys. What's on your minds? What prompted you to show up? What are you guys struggling with? Um, Anybody want to shout out? Don't be shy.
Hi, Samantha. My name is Chandra Sekhar with App
Hey,
Omni.
Chandra.
I am CMO at App Omni.
Hey.
I'll start with, one of the things that I tell my SDRs all the time is the traditional ways of reaching prospects through calls and emails is way down in terms of connect rates. So use LinkedIn, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, LinkedIn, direct mails, and things of that nature. I don't think we have hit a consistent strategy with how BDRs should be reaching prospects on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear a little bit more about strategies that SDRs, BDRs can use with LinkedIn. And I also am very interested in hearing about PPC strategies. I mean, LinkedIn, while it's a great platform, it's also a place where there's information overload. How do you cut through that noise? How do you get to prospects in a meaningful way?
Great starting point. And great questions. I think a couple of things. So I think the call, if anybody has followed me for a while, like I believe cold calls have their place and everything, but I really think that we can be better than the cold call. And I think email is a starting point for that, but it's always going to be a multi-channel approach to include LinkedIn. So how do we build a strategy and some consistent plays and practices there? I think for starters, right, it's even thinking about how and who we connect with on LinkedIn. So the number one thing that we see where I think organizations are still making a mistake is the way that they put LinkedIn as part of their sequence or their cadence, depending on the platform you use. So what we see is people still do the triple touch on day one. That means you get a cold email, a cold call, and a cold LinkedIn connection request. Wow, thanks for the inundation of trying to get my attention. So, one thing I would say, even just a thing that you can break up and try, is think about the emails that you send, right? How do we stand out and send two or three emails? Kind of skip the call, but make them hyper personalized. Chandra, I think you and I are new friends here, but look at the hashtag that we have SMYKM, show me you know me, and there's tons of tips on things that you can write and stand out. But what I would say is save your social touch for about touch four. And at that fourth touch, what the BDR could do is when they make it that, instead of sending a blank connection request, that's one of the changes I would make right away, is send one with context. So there's a lot of chatter about this on LinkedIn. Should I send a blank request or should I send one with context, right? People say it's a volume game, send blank requests, who cares? Just channel through it. First of all, you can only send about 100 connection requests a week. So you can probably get through that in a day if you just do blank requests. But what I would say is if you think about the standard executive's inbox, even if we're talking about director level and above, it's usually a mass of connection requests. They don't keep up with it, they don't stay on top of it, etc. So if they do happen to open it, what is it that they're going to see? A ton of connection requests that are all blank. How are we going to prioritize who to accept? The eye is naturally going to go to the one that has context in it. So I would say that that's a first win there. But then what to even write? So in that scripting, what I would recommend is to say something like, hey, Mark, my name might look familiar as I've reached out to you a few times over email. Be so grateful for the chance to chat with you about how App Omni, I think I got that right, App Omni can support your challenges, etc. Right? If you're ever up for chat, let me know. And I think the really cool part about that is number one, if the persona that we're reaching out to is worth our time, then it should be worth our time to continue to nurture them via DM as well. So this is the place where one, if they accept, that's great. Two, we can add them to a sales navigator list, right? We can track if they're posting content, if they're changing jobs, if something's happening in the news, we can look and there's a whole process there. But the other thing that I would say, just as a cool way to stand out, something we always advocate for, is what happens when we as leaders accept those connection requests. We typically get something called the pitch, that's with a P, the pitch slap, right? And it's where somebody's like, thanks for connecting. Do you want to buy my stuff? Thanks for connecting. Here's my calendar link. And you're like, wow, thank you so much. What a privilege to get to do this. So instead, what we try to train BDRs to do is just to be a little bit different, right? When they do accept that connection request, simply say something along the lines of like, thank you for accepting, looking forward to staying in touch. We don't need to ask them for time again because we already did that the first time. If they were interested, they would have told us, but hopefully they're going to go back to our emails and read them. But we don't need to ask again. And when they do see that we responded to their accepting the connection request, they're probably going to dread seeing our box, right, light up and flash because they know a pitch slap is coming. But when it doesn't, they're gonna be like, "Oh, that was different, right? Like they didn't pitch me." And you'll be like, "Just you wait, it's coming. Just not just yet." So just a small opportunity for us to show ourselves as being different. And I think the other thing, how do we build habit here? The other mistake I think we're making when we're doing our outreach is we're going, and especially this is important for email as well, is we continue to go to the same buyer personas that we've always gone to from a title perspective, right? So perhaps we're going to a director of product development, or perhaps we're going to somebody that oversees, financials for a particular team. Instead, why not go to the head of product? Why not go to the CRO? Why not go to their skip level boss? What is the highest level of leader that we typically engage with at some point in the sales process, even if it's late? And the reason that I would say to do that, right, is that instead of going right to the entry level point and trying to get them to agree to time, I'm instead going to one, send an email, and then two, that connection request to that skip level. And what's going to happen is there, especially if you're using Show Me You Know Me, their inbox, much like all of yours, is a mess of sales emails that all look the exact same. So, what we're trying to do is we're trying to stand out, cut through the noise, write a subject line that makes no sense except to the person that's reading it, and then send that skip level connection request so that when they do hopefully open it and that we stand out because we have context, etc., they say, hey, like, great, no, not the right person. You want to talk to Ralph on my team, etc. Now we get kicked down. Now we get an instruction. Now we have something that we can use. So I think it's really thinking about how we focus on that quality aspect over quantity. And pause here for just 1 second. Can you repeat your second question for me? I've completely forgotten it now.
So the first question was about the BDRs, and the second question was about PPC
Oh,
strategies
yeah.
on LinkedIn, and trying to figure out lists that we can use and making sure that we are actually hitting them with the right message, especially when it's top of the funnel.
Great point. So I think a couple of things here. I think LinkedIn has definitely, we're seeing our fair share of content that is really unhelpful on content. So whether on LinkedIn, so whether it's day in the life, whether it's here's me emptying my dishwasher as a VP of sales. I don't know why this content is having a life of its own, but my God, if you ever catch me doing that, like body snatchers have definitely invaded. The thing that I would say, right, is the quality content is really standing out. So if we're thinking from a pay-per-click campaign specifically, right, or if we're thinking of running ads and things like that, one thing that I would tell you to kind of consider instead is before maybe I give you the advice, let me tell you a little bit of what's happening with pay-per-click on LinkedIn. So all of you probably have agreements and spend already with LMS, which is LinkedIn Marketing Solutions. LinkedIn Marketing Solutions revenue started to take a dive about 18, 24 months ago because everybody was so eager and keen to advertise on LinkedIn, right? Advertise the latest webinar that you're having, a white paper you wrote, etc. But they were finding low ROI, like actual conversion, because people are coming to LinkedIn not to be sold to, right? Why do we go? We're going to network, we're going to learn, to be inspired, to do research on our prospective clients, to stay in touch, etc., not to find out about a white paper that frankly somebody could have just emailed us. And so what's interesting about this is that when LinkedIn thought about that, this is where thought leader ads have come into play. Has anybody run thought leader ads at all? Cool. There's a method to that madness, and I will shamelessly plug that we have a 13-page guide on our website for purchase, but all about it, like all the algorithm rules, and you can't use certain number of emojis and things like that. So if you want to nerd out on that, like we put all the pieces together. But the thought leader ads are really fantastic to use if you have executives that are creating content on LinkedIn. So what I would encourage you to think about, right, is instead of continuing to funnel 30 and 40 and hundreds of thousands of dollars to LinkedIn ads, perhaps think about repurposing some of that content. If any of you have your co-founders, your CROs, your C-suite, right, that speak to your audience that are creating content on LinkedIn, connect them with your LMS, LinkedIn Marketing Solutions, not your learning LMS. Connect them with that and then get permission to boost their posts. And I would say the target should be not to create more engagement, but the target should be to get exposure to your audience. There's two things that you can pull, two levers there with thought leader ads. It's one to just make your post look like it was more engaged with, which to me is really just vanity metrics and does nothing to help us, or it's just to reach the impressions of the people that you're trying to reach. That impressions piece of getting people to see your content is important because the majority of your leads are going to come from your lurkers anyway. They're not going to come from the people that actually engage or comment with your content because they know what's going to happen. Either if you engage with mine, I'll probably be like, hello, thanks for engaging. Do you want to be best friends and spend money with us? Don't worry, not that aggressive. Or you're probably going to get people who are going to scrape my posts, which happen all the time. And then you're going to get spammed because you engaged. So most people come in and read, they follow, they look at your profile, etc. And there's a whole strategy you can run, part of what we do as a business, to be really smart there. If you want to chat about that more, let me know. Or again, another playbook we have on our site, and you don't have to spend any more money with us, I promise. Helpful to, I know it's a lot packed in, but was that helpful in terms of your question?
No, thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks, Bach. I'm going to maybe just mention one more thing on the SDR front. And this is AEs alike, SDR, anybody that is basically being measured by a KPI to bring in net new leads and to book meetings on their own. I have the very specific feeling that all of our AEs should be full cycle reps. That's all I ever was, right? I never had the luxury of having a BDR. I had to go figure it out myself, which is a joy. It's a really hard job. But I think one of the interesting things you can think about, especially if you pair LinkedIn plus LinkedIn Sales Navigator, is a play that we have called Expand the Sandbox. And here's kind of what that means. There's an example I can share with you that I have permission to share. And there's a gal named Joy Wilder Lightbeer. She used to be the chief revenue officer of Equifax and had a really, really impressive career. Joy posts on LinkedIn. And when she was at Equifax, she would not post about Equifax stuff. She would post about fashion and her kids and New York City, all personal stuff. But what your BDRs can do is let's look for those individuals who are the ideal buyer persona or the people within their sphere, right? Within their buying decision circle, their influencing circle. Who are those individuals and are they posting content on LinkedIn? What we're looking for, and it's impossible to find in any efficient way. We're desperately working on this at Sam Sales, but it's impossible to find people who are posting organic content that's not company content and not just reposted or from an API. But if you can find people, right, that are posting that content, here's what we would say to do. Save them into a Sales Navigator list called Expand the Sandbox. Once you find like your Ralph Barcy's of the world that are posting content on LinkedIn, it's a buyer that you want to get in front of, save him to a Sales Navigator list, and then comment on 2 of his posts. It's not every single post that he writes. It's not every single day, right? We don't want to look too stalkery, but something along those lines, like once or twice a week, go and comment. And then go to connect and just say, I keep seeing your content because I'm stalking you. Leave that part out. Keep seeing your content, and I'd love to see more of it. I'd love to connect. That's it. No ask, no pitch, no anything. Go in and comment 2 more times, and then go in for the kill. I keep seeing your content. I think that there's a couple of different places where we can help you. I'd be so grateful for, appreciative of the chance to chat with you about how Sam Sales can be of support. And I think a couple of things that you see there, right? This is exactly the play that we ran with Joy, and we were able to get, I think it was our first 6-figure deal, almost 6-figure deal of the year over the line through 13 minutes of prospecting. She responded right away and said, here are the two team members that are involved. I'm going to send them your email and introduce you. Send me my email. And I was like, oh my God, what's happening? It worked basically like that. And then we rinsed and repeat and created a playbook out of it. But think about your sales reps that they can do that. It's a different medium, it's a different mechanism, it's a different play than everyone else is running. And it actually doesn't take that much effort. The most amount of effort is just finding the people that post organic content. But if you run a few plays like that, one, you'll get way better adoption out of LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which everyone has, but no one seems to know how to use, right? And then two, you'll start to see some successes, which will probably breed other successes for your SDRs as well. I would do this even as a frontline manager if I was still in that boat. I would use my time to go and do that and see if I could get meetings for our team. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking for just a second.
That's
Thoughts,
good.
feedback?
I got a
Yeah.
question. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Good. Okay, I want to go back to the automation or the yeah initial connection request. I know there are tools out there these days that do all of that automatically for you, right? So there's Ghostbuster or not Ghostbuster, Phantom Buster or whatever that's called, or Hey
Yeah.
Reach is a huge one these days, and I can even set up a cool clay table automation where I'm personalizing the outreach, right? And I've done that before too. But I know people are sensitive around using automation on LinkedIn, especially these days, because you hear people using Phantom Buster who now get shut down. Any thoughts on either tools in general, or the best tools to use, or how to think about automation?
Great question. Has anyone on this call ever been locked out, like sent to LinkedIn jail, locked out of your account? You had to file a ticket. Has anyone done that? Am I the only one? Cool. It's a great place
It
to be.
happened to be like 10 years ago, so I am a little bit sensitive to that myself.
Yeah. I would say my guidance would be to avoid any kind of third-party tools, automation, anything that plugs in, even if they are APIs that are approved, like things like, HubSpot integrations, Dynamics integrations, things like that, have at it. Anything that is a third-party tool that isn't like big player, truly authorized by LinkedIn, I would avoid like the plague. Here's why. So I've been sent to LinkedIn jail twice, and I have absolutely no idea why. It's a wonderful experience. You get to file a ticket, and then somebody eventually writes you back, and they say, "Here are the 1,600 things you may have violated, and we would like you to promise to never do it again." And I'm like, I have no idea what I did because I didn't do anything, so I don't know what I'm committing to. So I'm literally promising to do something not to do something again that I didn't know that I did in the first place, and I probably will do again and get sent to LinkedIn jail again. So I'm very, very sensitive to that because they can shut down your account and you will lose your followers and your content and your entire presence. And my God, it's just not worth it. I think that's interesting. So for those of you who don't know, there are tools like Phantom Buster. There's what's the other? I think Shield is another one of them. There's all these tools that offer automation and then they offer analytics. And the thing that I find that's interesting about that, these analytics that are offered, is that like, what's the point and what's the value? There are lackluster but still good analytics within LinkedIn specifically. But the other things of like this post performed really well. You have no idea, we never will know why a post went viral over another post. It could have been the hook, it could have been the timing, who was there, who liked it first. If an influencer liked it or the big network that hasn't before, that could have catapulted it. There's so many different things that happen. So I don't think those analytics, while they might seem super sexy or helpful, I don't think it actually gives you any specific direction. And then the automation piece, where I would invest my money is find a virtual EA and have them do all the things for you, which is basically what we do at Sam Sales for my own profile, just to make sure that we have that engine running. There's just one more thing I wanted to mention actually. And Chandra, it's back to your question around content and like how do we kind of stand out. Um, One thing that I would just note is as you write content, so whether it's you guys posting, whether it's advocating, creating an employee advocacy program, getting them to share your content, which is really, really important. You can flood the feed with content and show up in a different way if you do that. But that there's something of value to the reader. And I think that that's usually where content is getting lost on LinkedIn for anything that we're writing and posting. Number one, say what to do, but not how to do it. So you'll see a lot of like sales influencers say, like, you really need to multi-thread or be a great social seller or get to buyer pain. Cool. Totally agree. How do I do that? What is it that your piece of content actually taught someone to do? Is there a script they can use? Is there a search they can run? Is there a play that they can do differently? Can they ask an open-ended question a different way? Is there a play with clay? Play with clay? A poet didn't know it. Is there a play with clay that they can use, right, and replicate, or a prompt? Everybody loves ChatGPT prompts right now. So if you want a post to go viral, there's your hack. But people really love that content. So consider that. I think inspiring posts, anything with a picture, I think probably all of us have done that at some point, also travel really well. But just make sure there's like a work related lesson of some kind, right? Or a point of view. Maybe it's a little bit contrarian. Maybe it's going against like the corporate norms, right? And you're trying to make change for it. But that kind of content really works. What you're doing is you're basically training your audience to say, what you read from me is going to be of value. Like you can trust my content, and I hope you engage and continue coming back to it in case that's helpful.
Hey,
Okay, one more quick. Sorry, I could hog the mic the whole time if I if
Katie's
you
like,
let me.
thanks.
Okay, so I heard, and maybe you can confirm this or uh, bust this myth, but using virtual assistants not to have more than two logged in at the same time. Someone told me that like if you're using virtual assistants to post on your behalf, make sure that the other ones log out because LinkedIn will actually look at the location that's logged in and it doesn't want more than two different locations logged in at this or something like that. Can you confirm that or?
No, I don't have any personal like actual data back from LinkedIn on that. I will say that there's probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 people at Sam Sales logged into my LinkedIn at any one time. So the
And you
best
seem to be doing fine.
for now until I go to jail again.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would say you're fine. And we have somebody in London, somebody in Germany. We have Sarah in San Francisco, myself
Hmm.
in DC, that are all logged in at any one time doing research
That
or
makes me
looking
feel
at stuff.
better. Okay.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine. I think play it safe. Like the fewer, the better. You can always
Yeah.
VPN as well if you really want to try to trick LinkedIn. Just make sure you VPN to the right location, not
Yeah,
this
there you go. Good
scary
call.
one.
Yeah.
Katie, I think you had a question too, yeah?
I do have two questions. The first one
Yeah.
is I just wanted to clarify something you said about thought leadership content in posts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you said something like, don't just push some white paper that they can get somewhere else, make it. I'm asking this question very specifically because I just conducted a survey and I'm about to promote this big survey report, State of Sales Development, which I think
Yeah.
is super cool. But it is like a white paper. Were you saying just make sure it's a high value piece of content, or that's not the right type of content for LinkedIn?
No, it's great. So the kind of separating the two. So if you're running an ad and you're saying like specifically through LMS, it's not going to be through any profile or anything that you're doing, but it's specifically an ad that you're going to run.
Yeah.
If it's not gated content, right? And hopefully it's not, but if it's not gated content and they can just access it, it may still do fine. It's when we really run ads or we're looking for that data capture. So for them, again, old gated content back in the days of Marketo, always prompted us to do that. But you're still going to find that the click-through rates and what you're paying for just aren't going to be the buyers you want most frequently. So
Mm.
I would just say think about your dollars in a different way. So consider Matt is your CEO. Yes.
President. Yeah.
Dang it. Okay, president.
Yeah.
Consider like having a Matt, right, as your president. So any CXO or president title, or the larger the organization is, the SVPs and VPs titles, their content will always do well. So instead, have Matt post that the state of damn it, what
Sales
was it?
development.
Thank you. So, state of sales development. Have Matt post about it. But one of the things that I would say is be careful, one, of the links that you have in your post. A quick just algorithm note. There's a lot of back and forth about this. A VP of product at LinkedIn just did a video saying, I promise you, LinkedIn links in your post don't hurt you. I don't know what else to say other than they 100% hurt you. Just a quick
Mhm.
note is that all LinkedIn cares about is that you, one, come to the platform every day. That's why you get notifications for any bananas thing on the planet they can tell you about, like it's some birthday 48 years ago. Exciting news. And number two, how long you stay there. So you coming into the platform as frequently as possible, and your dwell time, how long you stay on the platform, is their most important thing. So
Mhm.
if we then post something that has a link and says, hey, we're going to take this person away, and even worse, if we post a link that has a UTM or a source code, which means like
Mm.
not only do we want to take them away, but we're really hoping to track this traffic, your post is going to get killed. So what I would do instead is I would have Matt post the content as a piece of the post, and then say like, we recently published state of the sales development report. Pull something out that's helpful, right? So
Mm.
I think another thing that we miss is anytime we show, we advertise a piece of earned media, a Forbes piece we did, a white paper, something that we have, we give no hints to what they're going to learn. So we just say like, hey, we published this report, here it is. And we're like, wow, riveting, thanks. So
Mm.
if you've got a really compelling data point or piece of content in that report, highlight it in the post and say, we found 16 compelling things, right? That might be a little bit contrarian, whatever. Here's one
Mhm.
of them. Pull that person and be like, oh, wait, no way. And then want to click on it.
Yeah.
Two just last things there. Link in the comments. He can post it or somebody else can post it, and then just get people to like that particular comment so it stays at the top. And then an hour after the post is up is when you can go back and edit it. And then that's when we add the links in or fix the typos that have been there for 59 painful minutes.
Great. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh,
Thank you. That's
sorry.
really helpful.
And then the whole point to do a boost, you can boost with thought leader ads of Matt's particular post. I,
Mhm.
I will just say, before you guys spend money on thought leader ads, but for those of you who haven't gotten started, just make sure like all of your analytics are paired up with LinkedIn. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see that carry through. All of that's in our guide as well. But just know too that like it's definitely a trial and error thing. And then the LinkedIn ad the post has to be picked up by bidders to get that exposure. So a little complex. I'll kind of leave it there, but just know there's a little bit of a learning curve with that.
Great. Thank you. And a second question, feel free to tell me you don't want to go down this rat hole, but because Reggie is a platform, a prospecting platform that connects with LinkedIn,
Mhm.
we have been very judicious about abiding by LinkedIn terms of service because we don't want to get into trouble and be sent to jail. But I'm just curious your perspective on there's so many tools out there, big ones
Yeah.
that violate LinkedIn terms of service, and I'm just wondering how does that work? How do they get away with it? And I just would love your perspective on that.
Yeah, I think it's we're recorded, but as off the record as I can be. I think one of the maddening things to me is that like LinkedIn really is behind in terms of all the opportunity that it has as a platform to help sellers, to help create economic value, the whole point of their company.
Yeah.
They just don't seem, even though all the answers are there from all the tools that get created to say like this is what your users want, they're not evolving to that just yet. I don't know why, but what I will say they're doing is they are slowly these. I don't know if anybody follows Alex Boyd as an example, who used to run an SEO company, and then he created a really cool platform called Aware that just got shut down. And it basically was a godsend to LinkedIn content for its users. And so LinkedIn is going through. So I have a feeling that the phantom busters and the things that just, really crawl and scrape the ample markets of the world
Mm.
are probably, I don't know, we'll see how things develop and what they do down the line. I think Reggie is safe though. I think
We're
you're,
really careful about it.
yeah, which is so smart. Great,
Yeah.
great thinking.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, great questions. Thanks. Hey,
Sam, it's
Ralph.
Ralph.
Hey.
Hello, everybody. It's so good to see so many good people on this call who I've known for many years. And Sam, thanks for doing this. My question kind of picks up where Katie left off with respect to CXOs
Mhm.
posting. As we know, a lot of them have a lot to say, but aren't comfortable putting on LinkedIn. So could you maybe walk us through what a productive engagement might look like if you're going to be ghostwriting for one of the executive leaders?
Yeah. And then do you mean us or do you mean you ghostwriting for them?
Let's go with you.
Yeah,
Because I know that's something that you offer, and I'm just keen to hear what a productive talk would sound like.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. So, if you guys decide to go, if anybody goes down this track and thinks like, okay, we do want to get those voices up. How do we get started? What makes sense, etc. A couple of things I would say is one, you need to select executives who want to do this, who feel comfortable doing it. You also, I would tell you to pick the executives who are likable. That might sound obvious, might sound also a little harsh, but we have executives who are like, we love to work with you, and we're like, I don't think it's going to work. And we try to find the nicest way to say it, but like they're not very likable. They're kind of grumpy on LinkedIn. And we're like, there's a reason people don't engage with you, or they're terrified of you. So find those people, right? Charismatic out there who are like, I'm a little uncomfortable doing this, but like, hey, is it going to get us to our number? Is it going to be a benefit for the company? That's fine. Like, let's rock and roll. If you really try to force it, you will 100% get the New Year's resolution gym membership that doesn't get used past week 6, right? So, first place to start is there. Second is just to consider, why are we doing this, right? So, what is the goal behind this? What's the challenge we're looking to solve? We have clients who come to us and say, like, we need pipeline today. And we're like, there's not a shot in hell this is going to do it for you. This takes time. You really have to commit to it. And like maybe 9 months in, you're going to start to see a trickle of wins, right? But this is really a trust the process. Go to the gym, keep it up. We promise your abs are out there. It's just going to take some time for us to find them. So one thing to just note is, are we solving a challenge that needs an immediate injection of revenue, pipeline, et cetera? Or are we doing good? Do we have these systems built? But this is going to be an important part for us. And in 18 months, we'll have Wish started. If it's that, then this is a great option for you. The third thing I would say is to make sure you're doing it for the reason for brand awareness, right? And brand awareness isn't, we're having this webinar, we have our white paper that we just, this report that we just published, which by the way, Katie, I'd love to see it. Can we see that? Is it published? Is it ready for?
It is ready. I can just share it out with the group.
Yeah, can we see it? That'd be great. Thanks. Thank you. But to think about it, like the 80% of your brand awareness, right, is going to come from thought leadership. It needs to teach something. It needs to have a perspective. It needs to inspire. You can promote the company through strategic positioning, but it has to be a value for somebody else, not for you. So what do I mean by that? We might say something along the lines of like, when we build brands for executives on LinkedIn, here's one of the biggest hurdles we have, and here's exactly how you get around it. Now, we're teaching you something, we're giving you a play, we're telling you what to do, et cetera. We're getting hopefully other people to weigh in with their comments, but we're also doing is saying, psst, we create executive brands on LinkedIn. Do you want to hire us for that? So you can do strategic positioning with that. It just can't be like an ad for yourself. And certainly that has to be the minority of the content, an ad for yourself, not the majority. 20% of the time you can say, we went to this conference, we had a team gathering, we have a webinar, we have a report that's coming out, go for it. But where I would really say like lean heavily, especially in those first few months, is thinking about everything that serves your audience over yourself. You have to build that trust, and as we know, the LinkedIn audience is really fickle. It takes time to earn that trust and that followership, so invest in them first, and that'll pay off in the long run. Final thing I would say is the content is one key portion of it, right? Like we're going to get nowhere without great content, but where people really miss the mark is the back end strategy. So for anyone on the call that's a marketer or has been in GTM forever, when you think about this, like we go to a conference, right? We get a speaking slot on stage, we pay to play 30 grand to get to, speak to our audience, et cetera. But when we do that, there's all these things around that content that we do, right? We'd never go and like not participate in the Q&A or not booth or host a party or book meetings for our reps while we're there. We're going to make the most out of that piece of content. And the same thing happens on LinkedIn. So what I would tell you, and again, if you want to save yourself a ton of money, our playbook outlines all of this on our website. I think it's the Ultimate Branding Playbook, something like that. I should know the name probably as the CEO. But it lists out in there all the back end strategies you should do. And I'll give you just a couple of them to consider. When you post your content, right, first you need to know the algorithm rules. So the link, for example, to not have that in. No more than 5 hashtags, for example, because it shows you don't know who your audience is. To not tag more than one person, or if you do, we need to make sure they engage within the first hour or your post gets killed. There's probably 20 more of those like, wait, what? things that you should really know to make sure you're doing this correctly. But once we post that content, engaging with the comments, asking questions back of the people that engage, fueling that post so that you get about 10 comments within the first hour. What about, right, the people that engage or comment that are your second and third degree connections, but that are in your ICP, even if they're remotely close to it, right? Let's say you sell to CROs. If BDRs engage, connect with them. Or if they're second and third degree connections, connect. Thanks for engaging, really appreciate it. And the likelihood that they will continue to like your posts, which will then be seen maybe by their AE and the leader and their leader, VP and CRO, right? You're really trying to build that momentum and that visibility through just one net new connection. So you have to connect with the second or third degrees to continue to build your network and expand, but to also remove the barrier that was there the first time, that somebody they knew had to like your post for them to see it potentially, and then they like it. So we're basically adding a new subscriber to our content every single time, if you will. I'm going to say two more things there and then I'll zip it on this topic. But another thing to consider is what we do with the posts that we see. Now, how many times a day, a week, do we see something in Slack where somebody on our team shares a LinkedIn post and they're like, this is really interesting. So you click on it. It's somebody we don't know. Maybe it's me. You click on it and you read it and you're like, oh, smart. Who is this? And then you go and look at my profile. You're like, oh, no, see ya. You don't engage, you don't connect, you don't like, you don't comment, you don't do anything. So one key part of the strategy is monitoring those profile views because those are your lurkers. Those are oftentimes your ICPs that will turn into clients. One quick nerdy note here. If you only have LinkedIn.com, like the free version, and you don't have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you will only be able to see the last 5 people that look at your profile. So if 10 look at it today, it's the 5 most recent that you can see. If you have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you get 2 wins here. One, you can mark yourself as private, as anonymous, and still see who looks back at your profile, which you don't get on LinkedIn.com for free. And 2, you can see anybody who looks at your profile for the last 90 days. So just opening it up, right, to be able to track and see who's looking at your profile with that strategy. The last thing I would tell you here to think about, Ralph, aren't you sorry you asked this question, is to think about how, like, it's great that we're building on LinkedIn, but at the end of the day, we're building on somebody else's land that can get shut down or change direction or whatever at any time. So a really critical thing we're thinking about is how do we move those subscribers off of LinkedIn, keep them there, but also get them to what we really care about, which is our CRM. And so think about if you have something valuable that you can build as part of your process. We'll say, like, hey, we have this women's webinar. We have live events every single month that are totally free. We have a really funny, in our humble opinion, newsletter that goes out on Friday. We're trying to give them some value to desperately get them to come over to our website, give us their contact information, and then we can go. So imagine all of together of like crushing outbound, right? Number one, you have your BDRs that are doing outreach in a different way. They're connecting, they're sending different connection requests, et cetera. That's happening, and there's a conversation happening over email and DM there. Second component that we have is your content that's going out. You connect with people, right? And now it's a drip campaign of content every couple of days of posts and posts and posts that they're going to see. On top of that, unlike PR or our desperate attempts to get earned media, which are harder and harder these days, we guarantee that people are going to see our content. Even if it's 300 or 500 people that only see that post, it's 3, or like we forget, sometimes we see 300 impressions and we're like, meh, it's 300 humans. That's 100x, 10x what we've got in this room. That's huge. A little less than that. I can't do math. But that's a big deal, right? So consider that. And then you've got the third thing. If we can get them off of our site on top of that and capture their their contact information, then we're also marketing to them. So we've got the SDR reaching out. We've got our content engine that's happening here on LinkedIn, and then we've got our marketing emails that are coming out. So to Katie's point, which she might have dropped. No, she's there. To Katie's point, right? They just released this report. So a report goes out, maybe it's in a sequence that goes out from Reggie to all of your clients. Then we've got Matt posting about it on LinkedIn and it's being boosted there. Then it's also going out in a marketing campaign. That's a lot of places for this report to show up for different people, right? That's really where you start to build that smarter, modern engine by using LinkedIn.
Sam, I don't
Also,
know if Brandon
yeah.
has a follow-up question around bringing people to the audience, so I don't want to change the subject unless we're
No,
good.
no, go for it. Go for
You
it.
good? All right, cool. Sam, long time listener, first time asker.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear your thoughts. One of the things I'm preaching to, you can think of them as SDRs on my team, is that your LinkedIn profile should speak to your prospect, not to your next hiring manager. Because I
Yeah.
see so many people that I hire, oh, 135% of goal, and it's like I think the machine learning engineers that come onto your profile when they see you connect with them, 100 times a week or a month or what have you, is oh, this person's good at sales, and it'll actually have the inverse effect where like it'll have a cooling effect on your prospects. And so I'm curious if you have any high level advice for us simpletons, or any checklists or anything like that where you say, hey, like these are best practices for the reps who are trying to build LinkedIn and build an audience of their target personas, versus hiring managers, etc.
It's such a great question. The simpletons made me laugh. Also, is that flag?
5 points for
Is
me.
is that a Porsche in the background?
Yes, I have
Yeah.
a Porsche problem. Yeah, we can talk about that offline.
Oh, Sam, two Porsche books right back here. Anytime you want to chat, I'm here for you.
All right.
I just spied it. I tried to blow up
Yeah.
your picture, but it was
Porsche
pretty.
photography parenting. If you want to talk about
Yeah.
the piece, I'm here. Yeah.
Done deal. Can you stay on afterwards for like a couple of hours?
Yes,
It'd be great.
I'm here.
Um, Couple of notes. So I think that this is I think the way that I would answer this is not to me like the gospel on what we should do. This is just my personal opinion. I think that the profiles one should absolutely be corporate appropriate. So again, a mark that I think is often missed is everybody's profile looks completely different, right? There's no cohesion. Our lovely marketing teams will put together a social media kit of like banners and things that you can use and whatever, and then nobody does it, nobody verifies it. Make this part of your onboarding, right? Go through a LinkedIn profile certification process. You have a picture, people can see it. Quick side note, if you guys all go to your LinkedIn profiles and you click on your picture, this is an important thing for your sales reps, especially, but definitely any of yourselves or executive leaders. Just make sure when you click on the picture, there's a little eyeball on there for visibility, and make sure that it's set to all LinkedIn members or everybody on the planet. A lot of people make the mistake that it's only to their network, which means it's first degree connections, which means second and beyond don't see your picture, they see a cartoon. They don't know any better, so they just think that your profile is incomplete. They don't see your picture, and then they're less likely to click on your profile. So just a quick note there. But there should be some cohesion if you really want to step it up. Your about section, right? If you guys also Google, I think it's literally hashtag about section and Sam's hashtag Sam sales, you'll see a couple of posts, and maybe Sarah can even drop a few of them in while we chat. She wants to do a quick search, but the about section should talk about what they do, not only a story, how did they get here, what inspires them, what do they love about this space. Middle section should be the core competencies of what they or the organization can do. This can be challenging for SDRs because they're like, I've been in seat for 6 minutes and I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. And you're like, you and me both. Just kidding. But what does the company do? What does your team do? What does the product do? How can you be of help to them, right? And the kind of final section is like, who am I outside of the office? Humanize yourself. Being not just a salesperson or an executive. Who are you? And even if you're pretty private, which as you guys can tell, I am not, but even if you're pretty private, like 2 or 3 things about you. What's the worst thing that somebody would know publicly? You love to read, you travel a lot, talk to us. Um, the accolades piece, right, is I think your concern is exactly what we hear from some people. It's like you're admitting you're a hustler. Like you're like, I'm really good at it. I'm gonna take you down. I'm gonna sell, etc. The way that I kind of look at it instead is that I'm probably working with an A player. That's why I like to see the achievements, the 7 times to President's Club, the 135% attainment, the consistent performance. It tells me that I'm probably going to work with somebody who just has their shit together, quite frankly. It's my personal opinion. I think some are also like, this is a turnoff and I feel like I'm going to be sold to. But I don't think the numbers are going to impact their opinion as much as the experience of the outreach will. So I would say, like, if the outreach is solid, if it's buyer centric, if it uses show me, you know me, if it's manners driven, if all the crap that we teach, right? If it's that, right? And then they see, like, wow, like this person's achieved all of this while being a cut above and being different. Yeah, I do want to talk to this person. Or it might show like how consultative you are, that you're smart, you know your product, you know your buyer's challenges, etc. Paired with that about section, I think it can be a real win. But again, I think people are either on one side of the fence or another. So just my humble opinion there.
No, totally appreciate it. I think to your point, it's also contextual to what else is on the profile, right? If you have
Yeah.
resources, if you have value, if you have other things, and then that, great. But a lot of the SDRs, especially the earlier ones that you hire, that might be the only thing that they're doing because that's the only thing they've used your LinkedIn profile for at that point, right?
Totally. And also why I think that certification, that profile certification is so important when in onboarding is that somebody will change, will change their experience section, right? Announce their new job. They're like, I'm at Reggie. And you're like, congrats, Reggie's amazing. And then it'll have the banner for like Oracle, or it'll have a link of like, come see why Intap is amazing. And you're like, that is a hot mess of garbage. And you're like, I know. So just a thing to think like, is the banner correct? Can we see their picture? Are the links correct? Are they advertising our site, our newsletter, whatever? And mostly the about section. Even when people leave Sam Sales, right? They if they ever do, but when they leave Sam Sales, they show that their job's ended, but their about section still talks about what they do here, which is super fun. Clearly they listened while they were here. Just kidding, just kidding. The jokes are free. I told you, Mark, I wasn't going to charge you for them. At least I got some laughs. Um, what
You're doing
else?
great.
I can't tell if I'm
Um,
terrifying Ryan Azuz or if he's into this information. Hi, Ryan.
so
How's it
Sam,
going?
thank you so much. I'm a big fan. I don't know if you can hear me. You guys can
We
hear
can
me?
hear you. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
great.
Hi, Ollie.
So I recently launched a youth leadership program. It's Samawat is the name of the company,
Cool.
and I've been on LinkedIn for a lot of time. One thing that I've seen is that a lot of people they post something and then they say, "Hey, type something in the comment, and if you type something, I'll send you a book or a video or whatever," right? And when you see their post, it gets 2,000 comments and 25,000 impressions. I don't know how many impressions, but do you think that's a good practice to build awareness?
Raise your hand if you get excited by people who post that. I'll wait. Nobody? Nobody? Okay. It's terrible. I think it says something about you, right? And it works. It absolutely works. I will say, if you don't follow Nate Nasarella, does anybody know Nate at Fluent? He's just such a good person and really smart. But Nate did something really interesting like this the other day. He shared a Google Doc and he shared it in a post and he's like, I put this whole thing together. Here's a Google Doc. Here's the link for it. Take it. Let me know if you want an editable version of this that you can use yourself. So smart. Post blew up. It wasn't the, I'm not going to use the word, it wasn't the lackluster comment here for my playbook that everybody else is doing. It was a really smart way to position that. I would say like they if you go with that play, your post will absolutely blow up. You will get brand awareness potentially. Your post will blow up. But on top of that, I think it brands you as not a great look. I can't think of any really appropriate words right now, so I'm just gonna go with that on a Friday. But it's not a great look. The worst thing is though, we see some people do that and they're like, comment for my playbook, and then no one comes. Nobody values their playbook or their strategy, and that's it's like I mean you might as well throw a party and be like absolutely nobody came. It's really embarrassing. So my advice, please don't do it, or just take a page from Nate's really smart playbook. And definitely check out Fluent, or just his content is so smart if you don't know him.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Nice to meet you, and
Nice to meet
congrats
you
on the
too.
launch. We got 5 minutes. Heather, thanks also for coming. I appreciate you laughing. Heather and I don't know each other. It was very exciting.
I'm with
Um,
for a laugh. Seems like you are too.
yeah. Anything else on your guys' mind? Thanks, Anton.
Just one other quick question. Sorry. I don't know, like a lot of the rules of LinkedIn that you've mentioned so far, I wasn't aware of. Is there a place to go and like learn about that?
Yeah. Couple of things. Sarah can drop it, but on our website for free this time. Woohoo! We have a couple of two different places. Algorithm hacks. Thank you, Robert, for posting Nate's comment or content. Algorithm hacks, and then also how to fuel the exposure. So some things that you can do. So there's 2 links that you can find there that Sarah might be able to find quickly. And then the not so free version in that LinkedIn branding playbook. I would say buy the bundle because I think it includes the LinkedIn ads piece as well. Or if it doesn't, we'll just throw it in for you. But in there is like how to create this entire strategy. So the content, the algorithm hacks, what to do, how to monetize the platform if you are a solopreneur, all of the things to the basically everything we charge 6 figures for $300, $400, I think. But yeah, those those 2 links are good starters for free. Tell Lee to buy the playbooks for everybody on your team.
I will.
Okay, thanks, Kitty. Maybe just one thing I was going to share with you guys in case you don't look at the link for, I think a very frustrating algorithm hack as our maybe final note. When you repost somebody's content, right, and you find value in what it is that they're saying, you have 2 options there. One is repost, and then the other one is repost with your thoughts. It's contrary to what we would think would work. But when you hit repost with your thoughts, you're creating a brand new post, you're adding your thoughts on top of that, and you're killing the visibility of yours and that original author's post. So if you see something that's valuable and you're like, I want to help this person out, I want my network to see it, I think this is really smart, and I want to do them the ultimate favor on LinkedIn, just hit repost. Your audience will see it. It fuels that author, that content creator's post. It just doesn't allow you to add your own content to it. Why? So why does that get killed when you do the repost with your thoughts? What LinkedIn really cares about is net new original content. And imagine if all of us on the call are the only ones who posted content, and then everybody else on LinkedIn reposted our content with their thoughts. It'd be really that exciting, right? Everybody's riding our coattails of our fabulous thought leadership. So what LinkedIn, without ever telling you what the rules are, wants you to repost those things or simply add comments to that post. So just one thing to note, like your comment, the ways to reward anyone that writes something smart is writing in order of like the least sexy thing, liking it, commenting, reposting, and then man, if you save that person's post, they'll never know, but you are really, really doing them a favor. Okay, I know we're at time. I promised I would only talk for 60 minutes. 58, in good shape.
One more question from
Yeah,
Chandra in
Mark.
the chat, if you
Yeah.
can hit it really quickly. Just when is it appropriate to do a repost with your thoughts, if ever?
I would say, like, if you are really keen on getting your thought out about this specific post, like, go for it. But what I would say instead is take a screenshot of that person's post, load it as a picture in a net new post instead, and say, sharing this great post from Brandon Redlinger. Brilliant thought leadership on XYZ topic. Here's my thoughts on it. And then link to the original post that you can put in LinkedIn because it takes them to another LinkedIn page. So that's the only time where a link won't kill you. But I would say just do that. Grab a screenshot and then you're in good shape. Just make sure it's a crisp screenshot. Mine are always fuzzy. Novice over here, but other than that, you should be good.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much, Sam. This was a fabulous
Mark.
session. Thank you all for being here. We have a couple of resources from the Sam Sales team that I'm going to distribute after this, along with the recording.
Thanks,
Cool.
Mark. Thanks
Thank
you guys
you.
for hosting me. Thanks for being great partners to us. We appreciate it. Thanks, Christina, too, and Craig. We're not on here. Pete, I'll get to know you. How's it going? But thanks, you guys. Have a great Friday. Please stay in touch. And if we can help, give a shout.
Thanks, Sam. Great session.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks,
guys.
Sam.
Bye.
Thanks.